Hi everyone, it's Raina. So I'm doing a series on the natal north node in various signs and houses. And this video is for those people who have their natal north node in the second house and or in the sign of Taurus. And I want to give a shout out to a website that I have been using for my research called KarenMBlack.com. She apparently is a karmic astrologer, and I guess the North Node might be her specialty because she sure has a lot about it. But I was so happy to find this site. I think I have seen it in the past, but to me, it really embodies fully what not only the North Node, but what the South Node represent, because you have the North Node and you also have the South Node. And if you've ever seen your chart, chances are the South Node is not included in the placements in the natal chart. And probably this is because it is that past life influence, and they want to focus on what your influences are for this life. But I like that she includes it because it is a part of this lifetime. And so what she says about the North and South nodes and what they represent is that the North node is the soul's purpose. I like calling it the soul's mission because I think that it really does illustrate exactly what the person feels like, that they feel compelled to accomplish something based on what they came here to do that isn't necessarily connected to one's career. And if it is, it's kind of like icing on the cake because they're making money doing something that also they feel is that, like being on that mission. And so the South Node is that which we come into this lifetime having a lot of experience with. And this can be habits, patterns, and even sometimes talents. And I like that she talks about incorporating some of these positive traits into your current lifetime because the way that it is communicated sometimes, it makes it seem like your South Node is something to just avoid at all costs. Or maybe I'm exaggerating it, but that's how I've always kind of felt about it. And it kind of confused me because my South Node and my sun sign are both Sagittarius. And I'm like, well, how do you work with that? But really, again, it's about de-emphasizing some of those things, especially the challenging aspects of the sign, and focusing on the talent that the person has, that you have, that you've brought into this lifetime that is exemplified by your South Node, and then stepping into this North Node. So let's look at what the sign of Taurus represents and the house that it rules, the second house. And like I said, you want to look at both. So if you're listening to this for your second house, North Node placement, but you might have it in, let's say, Pisces, and listen for Pisces as well. So the second house is the house stayed at home with the children and has foregone a career outside of motherhood. Perhaps now this person is thinking about a career outside of the home and kind of expanding their identity beyond being a parent. So all of these, so everybody can go through a Saturn return in different ways. But in any case, for some people who may feel very disengaged with the concept of money in all of this, and if you really feel this way, start to, engage in it from a spiritual vantage point. Listen to Abraham Hicks material, because they're really good at bringing these two concepts together, your consciousness and your material resources. There are other people out there too who can give you a better perspective than maybe you have been brought up with, or that you just kind of came into this lifetime with. I found when I first started on YouTube, or was planning to do this kind of work, even though I don't have, North Node in Taurus or in the second house, I still was a little bit leery about mixing spirituality and money. And I watched, I think Teal Swan has a couple of videos on this that I found highly effective at shifting my perspective. And you don't have to agree 100% with anybody that you watch or listen to about their attitudes towards money, especially if they are in the spiritual community, because, let's face it, there are some people that are so into money that they are going to just tell you everything is okay. And you can still have your belief system that you want to make things affordable and you don't want to be greedy and things like that. I think that that is compatible with still having a positive attitude towards material energy in the form of money and possessions. Because, possessions is another issue that is really commonplace these days. It's so funny because I have the window open and the wind is blowing like crazy. So I don't know if that's going to show up on the recording. But you've probably heard about minimalism if you haven't actually watched videos on it or read about it. Years ago, there was a book called Your Money or Your Life. And it was really good at breaking down people's tendency to place too much importance on making money at the expense of their life as a whole. And I do recommend that book. And I believe there was a PBS show called Affluenza that was really great. I saw it many times. And this was years ago. And it was called they used to call it the voluntary simplicity. Now we call it minimalism. So there's always like this rebranding, And, the younger generation has embraced this in certain communities, especially alternative communities. And there's so much to be said for this mentality, but it doesn't mean that it has to be taken to the extreme. You can have things and still not be overly materialistic. And when you have your North Node in the second house, these are going to be issues that you play with. And you may not be, if your sun is in Virgo, it may be very maddening to deal with this. Even Capricorn, because Capricorn, is ruled by Saturn and loves to pare things down, including their lifestyle. So these kinds of signs are natural minimalists. And they may, kind of like be very much against crass materialism. What if your sun is in Taurus and you have the North Node here in the second house? Maybe not in Taurus, but you have it in the second house. In that case, that's really a good point. Maybe somebody like that needs to pare down some of their possessions and actually what do they call that when you are downsizing? Like if you have a bigger house, maybe that is the lesson that you need to learn. Is like, what is true value in my life? There's actually a term called time poverty, where you have a lot of things, but you don't have a lot of time. So these are all very fluid concepts as far as I'm concerned. And with the second house also being self-esteem, looking at whether or not money and possessions are a substitute for one's self-esteem, and how they're trying to prop up their self-esteem through material objects, signs that they have arrived, that they are worthy, and so on and so forth. Valuable, because they're wearing things that have a lot of value in the material world, at least. So very, very interesting. I sometimes when I'm doing private readings, I get people who have the North Node in the second house, and I confess it's sometimes is a bit of a. It has been in the past a little bit hard to convey, what they should do as their soul's mission, because it seems like so much on the material level. But in doing this series, it's helping me to kind of flesh out some of these concepts more. So I hope that you enjoy this. If you would like a personal reading, I have life path readings for people that are kind of, looking at a change in direction, or maybe don't know where their talents lie, what have you. It's astrology based, and other types of readings, natal chart interpretations. The link is below for that. Thank you so much for listening. Take care. Bye.